Hey guys, it's Willow and I'm back with Arcane, but today we're watching Bridging the Rift, which is a behind the scenes series on YouTube. It's a limited series with only 5 episodes. They're each about 20-30 minutes, and I'm thinking that I can get through a couple today and get them out for you guys just before I start season 2. And if I haven't finished the Bridging the Rift series today, I'll finish it alongside season 2, so it'll be only 2 videos like maximum, because it's a very short series and it's a behind the scenes series, so I don't think I'll need to do as much detailed commentary like I would on an episode, so I feel like it'll take me less time. But obviously this is me speaking before I've done it, so we'll see. Sometimes I can get a bit lazy and a bit tired, so we'll see how much I get through and then I'll tell you at the end what the plan is. But yeah, as far as I know, this is about the kind of animation and story journey, just everything behind the scenes of making the show, and it'll tell me some important information about the show itself and maybe some clues about the characters in the plotline for season 2, as they were working in parallel for season 1, but no spoilers as far as I'm aware. So I've been told I can watch this, so I'm going to. Yeah, I don't think there's much I can really say. I don't really know what to expect, so I'm very excited to get into this. Let's go. When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission. So true.
With League, the thing is that you play these characters over and over and over. Hundreds, in some cases, thousands of hours people sit with these characters.
I haven't played League.
I'm actually just messing around in the jungler right now.
Who are you playing?
Mordekaiser. Because he's heavy metal. They're always in this one map, in this one environment. And you start to wonder, like, where do they sleep?
To be honest, I'd be interested in playing League. I do play video games. I would be interested in playing it. I don't really know much about what type of game it is. I don't know.
What do they eat?
Anyone recommend?
What is their normal life like?
Jinx?
Like what kind
Wait,
of
that's not
families would they
Jinx.
have?
It looks like
Arcane
Jinx.
was going to be the very first deep story expression of League of Legends. There's enough video games where the audience asks for a movie or a show for years and years and years, and then they make it, and then it sucks. And then guess what? People stop asking.
Resident Evil.
We were afraid of that.
I'm just kidding, I haven't watched the movies.
If we make something that isn't at least good, then we're really, really harming the League IP.
Right now, obviously, the phase is trying to wrap up season 1.
This is Echo with
Without hair.
Just oh yeah, without hair, right? I forgot. Here.
This is so
She will
cool.
be the worst kept secret of the show. Everyone will know it's Echo when they see him with the mask on. I mean,
You think?
yeah, of course.
In the trailer, I've seen like several videos, people analyzing it, and they're
There
like,
already is-
"Oh, this
there's already
character
people that say that it's
is
Echo.
absolutely not Echo."
I mean,
Well,
I was
but
like,
okay,
yeah.
but so the second they see that he has the pocket watch,
Oh, true,
everyone
yeah.
knows he's like the the boy who shattered time. I mean,
I didn't know that. Maybe that's the League thing. Anyway, I think when you're creating something yourself, you think everyone's gonna like, if you're creating like a plot twist or if anyone's ever like written anything, I have, and you always think like they're gonna guess the plot twist and like, or they're gonna guess the secret, but really when you're watching it for the first time and you're being blasted with loads of information, it's really easy to miss like the small details.
That's right.
And I didn't guess it till the episode right before it was revealed.
Hey,
hey, how you do?
how are you?
I remember you showed me that we built like a special rig on Jinx. You can kind of control going her face from going looking more childish to like
yeah.
You have that somewhere to pull up?
Yes. So when we first got the first rig of
Wow.
Jinx, the idea was to try to connect her somehow visually to what she was as a kid. Rounder face, bigger eyes,
Oh wow.
a sadder look. We didn't want the typical like crazy girl laughing around like the Joker, and just making no sense. We really wanted to make her feel like deranged and emotionally affected by what she went through as a kid.
I think we were a little bit worried about, you know, when we get to the adult Jinx, that we just lose that, like, I don't know, that beautiful little soul that just just tries to prove to her older sister, like, hey, like, I can do this, you know, like, believe in me.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel empathy for Jinx.
I think we should never work on a project that doesn't offer us something personal to explore. I think for the story that we have, it's a story about family, it's a story about siblings that have a hard time forgiving each other. It's a world of technology kind of taking over and us feeling like we're losing control over it. I think that those are just things that we as people
very relevant
think about and care about, you know. I think we want to also ask some questions that we think should be asked without necessarily giving you the answer, but at least asking, like, hey, does a person, you know, like Jinx deserve a second chance? Can a monster ever be forgiven? I don't know. If you can figure out, like, what is something that if you love it, a lot of people would love it, that's where you really should go hard. And I think that's what we tried with Arcane, you know. We'll see, but I think it has potential.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen how many views the behind the scenes series has. I think they definitely succeeded.
How you doing, bud? The skinks. I've had them for 23 years now. I got them when I was 15 and definitely old enough to make that kind of commitment. The thing when you work on story is that, just generally speaking, it never stops. I feel like I just have voices in my head that argue a lot, and every now and again, something they say makes sense, and then you write it down. And that's basically, that's how the characters happen. These are obviously League of Legends characters mostly. I was original creative on like Riven up there, and Ahri, and let's see, Wukong, Nautilus, Lee Sin, and then there's just, I don't know, that guy I thought was cool.
So I did go to school for writing. You know, I went out to LA. One of the things that I stumbled upon was a truly bare bones, desperate sounding Craigslist post for a video game startup. My first and consistent reaction to that was, this company has no chance.
I started playing in beta, and I
Wow.
found, the
2009.
job offering to work in customer support at Riot on Craigslist, which led me to be interviewed by Alex.
Yep, for the record.
And I think League was just really fun because it felt like there was kind of like the fingerprint of the people who made the game was so palpable when you played it, because the characters were so quirky, they were so different. You could just kind of tell people were just enjoying making these characters.
Early Champ concept meetings were so fun. We only had the one conference room, and it would just be everyone at the company who liked that, who was enthusiastic about it, just comes in, and you'd show up with something, right? You'd be like, here's this sweet art that I found, or here's this idea that I just jotted down. How do we turn that into a champion? I think the reason that we focused on Jinx was because, I don't know, Jinx just always had this spirit at the company. Katie D'Souza did this, and it wasn't a sketch,
So that
it was
is
like a full concept
Jinx.
of what she called Psycho Arsenal. It was not so different, honestly, from what Jinx looks like right now. You know, the long pigtails and just...
Yeah, her hair is
guns
so
all over
fucking
the
cool.
place. I mean, everyone just fell in love with it immediately.
Vi and Jinx were characters that Alex and I always really liked.
Bravo, sis.
We worked on them together on, you know, the different kind of teams. Alex was working on like the characters themselves, like their creative, their voiceover lines with, you know, other writers.
She's such a loser, always ready to cry.
And I worked on the music and then the cinematic on Jinx. So on the, I want to try something fun right now. So fun should have some kind of spike up, you know, like the...
Are the characters from
Screechy.
Arcane in
Okay. I'll try.
Are the characters from Arcane in League of Legends? I thought it was like they're in different timelines. I don't know. No clue.
Shoot faster, just a little bit of energy. I wanna try something fun right now. I get some people going
Get jinxed. Oh, so there must be games for Jinx then.
And you know, when Christian made Get Jinxed, that was the most storytelling I think we'd seen in a video at that point.
Or is it another music video or
Arcane
something?
started when Alex and I sat down together and were thinking what the devil we should be doing next.
Riot in general kind of struggled to put out like long-form narrative content. Our goal was to have deeper storytelling, right? To not just do video game action. Or as we at the company tend to call it, fight porn. I don't know if we call it that anymore, but that's what it always was.
Yeah.
I just always had this sense of obligation to the players. You know, it just felt like we created these characters and the players answered us by spending so much time with them and loving them, and it just felt like they deserved to have better stories.
Whenever Jinx kills someone, she actually gets kind of like amped up. If basically the promise is
It
like,
would be nice to find some kind of thread, some sort of like emotional question thread.
we were just kind of talking, you know, like, man, like how fun it would be to make something that's a bit bigger, you know, and the animation space and the story space, and to kind of embrace all these different strengths that the team had developed over the years. Animation, music.
Every child. That sounds dumb.
Building characters, stories, and just go deep on it. We had this amazing, amazing partner in Fortiche, this animation studio in Paris. We worked with them on the Jinx music video,
There is a Jinx music video.
on the Imagine Dragons music video for Warriors.
Wow, Imagine Dragons has been working with Arcane a lot, huh?
They just always had this like this X factor of like these beautiful visuals, it's super artistic and everything. It just kind of always clicked, you know? I always thought that if there's any superpower that we had in the beginning to make Arcane a thing, it was whether or not we could really unleash the potential of Fortiche.
Paris. Looks like a fun place to work.
Le problème, c'est de finir après avec un shot final où t'as Rémi qui serait beaucoup trop à gauche et lui qui serait beaucoup trop à droite, quoi.
The Buddha is the yes man of the company. He's saying yes to everything.
Is this a good idea?
Yes, it is. Can I do it? Yes, you can.
My house is covered in those Buddha things.
We do a mix of 2D and 3D. Because the 2D FX are done in 12 images by second, then and the animation it's 24 like all the movie. So you have a mix of style. Geek with dirty.
Hard at work.
Yes.
C'est très beau. C'est les mains de lentilles. Typiquement, moi je suis pas fan de la 3D pure et je trouve le style très intéressant, quoi. C'est plus organique.
How do you texturize something to look like a painting?
We paint.
Wow. So many skilled people.
So let's say you have like a character smoking a cigarette. Instead of having like a 3D smoke being simulated by 3D tools, it's actually 2D drawn, frame by frame, and gets this almost cartoony effect.
Wow.
In fact, I start to do this 2D mix and 3D since 20 years with music video.
On est en train de mal triper.
For me, it's a new way to do animation. It's not anime, it's not full CG, it's a mix of everything.
Are you feeling good about season 1?
It's an interview right now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's trying to hide the alcohol.
I met Arnaud in a party. Arnaud was doing fun, cool music video with no money.
Je faisais de l'animation, mais c'était tout le temps un peu expérimental. En mix média, en stop motion, mais souvent avec une grosse partie quand même live action.
Cheers.
Ask Pascal a little bit.
Yeah.
Ask what?
Nothing.
Maybe another day? A little bit drunk, maybe. It's gonna be easier.
I met Pascal, he was the best guy for doing character in Paris.
When I was a kid, my dream was to make comic books or work on, for Marvel and stuff like that. I like characters. I like how you can bring personality and bring story.
I think back then I just found these tests that they would do where you go like, man, like this looks different. This doesn't look like the typical expensive Hollywood animation production. This looks very French.
I think he liked the mood because it was more adult, more lighting with flares and haze and something more like a live action movie.
Fortiche from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's
has
cool.
A very unique approach to camera.
The
Making
light
you feel
coming through
like
the
there's
window.
a person filming whatever's happening. There was an imperfection that could only be human in how it moved and how it felt.
To be fair, the first answer when I went to the right leadership was like, I think we should make a TV show about our characters that is the highest budget ever spent on an animated series. It's gonna be great. The first answer was no, get out of the office.
That was like a, oh crap. Like Christian has showed up with those like bold ideas and bold asks before, but this one was such a leap from sort of music video to like full animated show. It's so unbelievably daunting. And in the back of my mind, I'm just going, how am I gonna talk Christian out of this? Like, how am I gonna help him realize that like, we're jumping the shark here?
And then I came back and said, okay, give me like $2,000. And they're like, okay, fine. And so we just started, doing some concept art. It was like, okay, this looks really cool, right? Yeah, this looks pretty cool.
I thought it was a great idea, but I also knew how difficult it was to pull something like this off. We have something called the video game curse, which is very few games have adapted into film and television well.
One of the things that's really true
I think recently a lot have been doing really well.
A lot of great creative ideas, they're fragile. They start off as a dream and an idea and a vision, and they haven't been fleshed out necessarily.
Okay, it was a little bit more, now we can explore some 3D models and everything, like $5,000. They're like, okay. And
I don't remember getting any of this money.
Anyway, not to linger on this very unimportant.
You got $2,000.
All right, this is our first behind the scenes in the writer's room. Alex, what year is it?
1922.
And while we were developing the story, we also started working with Fortiche on these little spikes, of like, hey, what would it look like if Vi was just in her apartment in Piltover, and she's like venting about how Powder,
her
sister,
apartment,
is just always messing up. It was just a test of like, hey, like, can we even do animation where acting feels good?
In Piltover?
All you had to do was run, Powder. Didn't we spend a bunch of time preparing you for this? You and I?
In the back of my mind, I was going, I kind of hope this loses steam because this is so unbelievably ambitious. Like, I don't know how in the world we're gonna pull this off.
That's when I said, okay, could you give me like, I think it was like 65 grand or so.
Whoa.
And there was this fight scene, it was sort of this animation test with Jace and Vi on a rooftop.
Wow, the hammer and
It was
the
so
gloves
sick,
already.
just in terms of how the characters were expressed and how they came to life. Like all those little incremental tests they were just like, yeah, we need more of this.
This was 65 grand though. I did not
That
think
was the time when
about the budget
I think they
being this high
realized
for stuff like this.
that I'm probably serious about this project. I said to them, well, I mean, you have concept art now for the characters, for environments, you have 3D models, you have animation tests, you have material that we've had developed for the pilot. And I was like, are we gonna do this or not?
I sort of think about it as like, oftentimes not knowing what we're getting into was an advantage, because I think if we did know, we would have said, there's no way.
I mean, animation tests, it was beautiful, right? But it was just a small snippet of what the full series would be, and there were so many questions about like, well, what is the full story?
To me, the stakes are really high because we want to be respectful of players' time and trust. I'd for sure much rather not do a show than releasing something.
Wow, the early
that's okay.
concepts are interesting.
I don't know if anyone
Timing it
on Horizon
seems like
leadership
it's the
necessarily
same.
thought that we would definitely be able to do it, but I think they all understood that we just had to try.
Oh,
You know,
Mal's
this
alley.
was a bet. It was a risky bet. You just kind of have to, at some point, make that bet. You know, otherwise, it's only gonna be ever a theory.
Fortiche was 5 people. So we had to build a studio of now 200, 250, 300 people.
Wow.
Which is like, how do you build an animation studio? You know, we're a game company, how do you do that?
At that point, Fortiche had produced 2, 3, 4-minute music videos.
Le pari pour Christian et Riot, c'était est-ce qu'on était capable de sortir 5 heures, 6 heures de film. Et non plus, on ne savait pas.
When I met Christian, I remember him talking about the character arcs and what's gonna happen in that episode, and I've already that in mind, and it's gonna be like so emotional. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. We haven't even started the first minute of the
No,
show.
but like if you've ever like had an idea and I'm like this as well. If you have like an idea in your mind, I go so far with it before I even start. Like I'm one of those people that just like the ideas like keep coming and you like don't even have enough space in your head for all the ideas. You get them all out, and then I'm obviously not very successful. I get all these ideas and I get so far ahead into it. I start it, I give up. Like I burn out so quick. But I have all these ideas and like I can plan something fully to the end, but like not really have even done anything about it.
What he was getting into, but I think he was a fool. But the excitement he had when he was talking about the show made the difference to me.
Even when there are a lot of question marks and obvious concerns, and on paper it's not supposed to work because, you know, the experience isn't there and the resume isn't there, like that's precisely when it's worth jumping into the deep end of the pool and learning how to swim.
Il y avait plus de peur pendant le test que finalement quand on a commencé à faire le pilote. C'est là où on a pu mettre tout ce qu'on avait un peu en nous, toutes nos références, où il y a eu ce côté, le côté geek, grâce à Christian et Riot, quand on a vu qui nous laissaient les clés.
That's the fight scene with the kids in episode 1. Well, different stages are so insane. I didn't know this was partly such a big part of it was French. Wow. 10 months for one episode. I know that animation is slow, but it's a lot of dedication to one thing.
Basically, we had the pilot, wrapped up more or less, and now was the time to start working on the rest of the first season.
We had an entire arc for the first season, filled with moments, lots of art, lots of exploration, different locations, different characters, and we were already
yeah, because I feel like episode 1 you don't have
sort of pipeline
a lot of the characters yet, like
These
Jason,
take a
Caitlin,
tremendous
and
amount of time to animate,
council.
And once the episode is in various stages of animation, changes are possible, but any change is tremendously disruptive in terms of the amount of time and resources it takes to so you're kind of locked in.
So yeah, at some point there was a meeting on my calendar, and I went to Brian's office, and there was like a bunch of people in there.
He basically he called me and told me like, hey, I just talked to Brandon and like everyone.
It was basically like an intervention meeting.
And by the way, that's what we do for everything, even in game. If we're like on the cusp of launching and we think it's not right, like we'll stop, we'll hold, we'll pivot, we'll cancel.
Perhaps it's time I cut my losses.
I think with everything.
I love how defensive the people that were trying to like stop this are.
That hammer to fall. We wanted to make sure the story that players got lived up to their expectations. If we couldn't do that, then we shouldn't do that.
The consensus was, you don't have the story yet, and it's not going to work,
I mean, seems like he did have the story pretty planned out. Right, okay, that was episode 1. I think I can do episode 2 as well. I'm interested. It seems like they had to fight to get this idea out. Okay, we're on part 2. Episode, I don't know. What is truth but a survivor's story?
Managing Fortiche is like, sometimes I feel like a band manager. Like, guys, you're doing whatever you want, but I want you on stage at this time for the concert and the gig. And they're always on time at the end. So you have to trust them.
You're making it look too fun.
So we are in 2017, and everybody is working really hard to deliver the pilot. And then we had a discussion with Riot, explaining to us that we're not happy with the script, with episode 2 and episode 3. At the end of the call, we were like, have they really said that? I think we have misunderstood them. When we arrived in LA, and then it was, hey guy, yes, we want to do a pause on the production, put everything on hold. We were like, oh my gosh, that was true.
Was it like a different storyline too, how it ended up?
Everything is going to shit right now.
I guess that was pretty much at the point where They had drafted together a couple of scripts and sort of a show Bible for the entire season. The next thing I know, Christian mysteriously gets pulled into a meeting, and then it was like a strange intervention where a bunch of other rioters basically told him that it sucked. It was such a blow to the team to just feel like, man, we're being told to stop completely and potentially even find different showrunners, different writers for the whole thing.
You know, you've been killing yourself, you know, to try and make it work and try and figure it out. And you like just, I mean, your first thought, of course, is just like, is it dead?
That would be so sad if you had all these ideas.
With the promise that there would be a full season to work on. Because, you know, they're very, very talented, and you really only get them if you have something kind of worth committing to, you know, like a multi-year project.
And so we just kind of had this feeling like we're gonna have to tell all these people that we just hired, they have to be like, which just, I don't know, it's just like the worst thought.
I think Alex and I just felt like we suck. Like we failed, you know.
Christian's a tortured artist who can't let himself not do something great. Like he will will it into existence because he will beat himself up and lose sleep and go crazy.
There were a lot of times during my career ride so far where I needed someone like Brandon or Mark to explore some pretty wild ideas. You know, where a lot of people would say, like, no one in the video game industry has full-time composers, you know, like we can just hire someone from the outside as a freelancer to make some music for us.
Wow.
Or why would we make music videos? Team. That's insane, you know, like video game companies don't make music videos. Back then, it was Mark and Brandon who kind of saw the idea and like how awesome this could be. And they took bets on, you know, me being able to figure it out.
This guy deserves a huge apology. He's like revolutionized the company.
I think Brandon kind of took like the moment to kind of tell me, hey, like, we'll figure it out, you know, like, we trust you, you know, like, we'll figure it out. And I just started crying.
Christian's biggest fear is letting players down. He crushes himself over it. It's actually painful for those closest to him to sort of watch, and it gives you so much respect and appreciation and ultimately trust in what, you know, he decides to take responsibility and ownership for.
Hello everyone. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our decision to delay the further production of the follow-up episodes of Arcane.
I remember, I think I recorded like 16 different versions of this video because I just always was just kind of sitting there like, And
I wanted to give you guys some more information about it, you know, why, what our plan is, and so on. And I'm sure you've heard from...
We did not show this. The question was, if we start with that, everybody will cry, everybody will jump out of the window.
I finally made a version of the video that I felt like was okay, and I sent it to them, only to learn a few weeks later that they were like, yeah, we never showed it to anyone because you just looked so depressed. You look like you want to kill yourself. Like, how could we ever show that to anyone?
So it was like a harsh time.
So we had to let the team go,
Wow.
which is always very painful. You're not sure they're going to be able to come back because if they go to another production, you might lose them.
We knew that we wouldn't have work for them for the months to come. So we started talking to different teams at Riot and started asking people, hey, is there anything we can do, like a music video or anything that could just keep, you know, the lights on at Fortiche. We talked to the esports team and there was a desire to make a music video. Which became the Rise music video. And then we started talking to the music team and they were working on something like a crazy idea about a K-pop group.
So they did 2 music videos with us, which I think are still some of the best, if not the 2 best, on our YouTube channel.
Thank God, Alex and I are shit at our jobs because if we hadn't taken that extra time to develop the story, the KDA Popstars music video and the Rise music video would have never happened.
Ces deux clips nous ont permis aussi de résoudre certains petits problèmes techniques qu'on pouvait avoir qu'on avait pu avoir sur le pilote et d'affirmer un peu plus le style de la série.
So, you're welcome.
You just gotta keep asking.
Poor
This is the
cripple
thing.
from the Undercity. I was an outsider the moment I stepped foot in Piltover. I didn't have the benefits of a patron or a name. I simply believed in myself.
At that point, the idea was I had to replace myself as like the person in charge of figuring out the story. Of course, it was me and Alex, but I was responsible. We just knew we had to hire someone who's experienced as a showrunner and as writers and that kind of stuff. And that's what we tried to do. Except we couldn't really find anyone. 6 years ago, if you pitched that a video company was gonna do like an animated series that is looking for like drama screenwriters, no one really showed up. Or it was just, people were in for the wrong reasons, where it was like, well, League of Legends and Riot is big, but they didn't really care about the characters that much. So we looked for quite a while, and at some point, we just felt like maybe we'll just kind of have to try again, but be less shitty.
And then, it was just start over, look.
But they'd already done the pilot,
when we started talking
right?
to showrunners, like who could we bring in to just be an advisor?
That's when we found Monica Macer. She was a showrunner. She worked on Lost, was someone who was really passionate about mentoring people, and she really helped us find the right way to realize our vision, without necessarily being like, here's what you have to do. More just about here's all about the process of how to craft a season, how to think about developing characters.
And then we hired, a bunch of writers who'd worked in various capacities in TV. So, Amanda was one of those writers.
I know. It's so good. It's so good.
You're like always trying to get into the heads of your characters in any way you can. I did have one of the writers teach me how to shoot a gun, like a sniper gun, right before I was gonna write Caitlin's episode last year.
Wow, that's a good way to get into the headspace.
We're in my house, and I have a little office here where I do my writing.
Nice. Can you show me that?
Sure. Through the kitchen, into my nook. I have these lights I turn on at night to sort of inspire me. There we go.
They'll have scripts that they'll send over to you as kind of a sample of their work. And Amanda, I think with hers, it was comic book video game scientist. And her story was about a future world where we've colonized the moon. And I was like, this seems like it could
colonize
be
the
a
moon
good fit for us.
I would prefer not to have a punching bag in my living room, but that's just what we do right now. So I actually never thought about how my kung fu translates to learning how Vi's a fighter.
Rotten luck, boys.
But there's a fight scene in episode 5 of season 1, which is the episode I wrote. One of the things I'm like so proud of is it's like between two women with like a different body type, like both like really muscular. They're doing moves that you haven't necessarily seen women do before on screen. I always think of fight scenes as like being just like another talking drama scene. Like there has to be a turn, there has to be motivations, you have to learn something new about the character in the fight that you didn't know before.
I'll give her your regards.
And then, of course, she's saved by another woman. 3 women in a fight scene. It's fucking dope, so.
Amanda just has a really honest voice in her dialogue that is just really grounded emotionally. I remember this moment when Alex and I were really wrestling with the last words that Jinx was saying.
Women really own the show.
Season 1. And then like Amanda took the script and solved it in like, I don't know, an hour.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to. Even though I'm different. But you changed too. So, here's to the new us.
Amanda just wrote that, and Alex and I were just like, yep, that's it. And we just couldn't do that, you know?
I think the biggest change from the way that we were looking at it before was it was very plot heavy, right? It's very focused on kind of like, what's the problem that has to get solved? Who's going to fight who? What I think most improved after kind of working with these writers was sort of like the emotional story for the characters.
I'm quite proud of the cold open too, the like whole beginning of the season with the bridge. The cold open used to be the cold open from episode 3 when Silco was drowning. I sort of went out on a limb being like, so guys, I know you hired me to help out with the show and whatever, but you need to change the pilot. That's a really poetic image, right? But it wasn't telling the story of the series, which is these two sisters being torn apart.
That's so true.
That's when I came in as a CEO, taking this big role with the idea of becoming a multi-game developer and a multi-game publisher, which on its own is a really difficult challenge to go from that one hit to multiple games. And then there was this little curveball, and by the way, we have this TV show, which probably is going to cost us, a massive 9-digit budget.
Whoa.
There's a lot of risk in this.
To be completely honest, Niccolo and I were always on like completely opposite spectrums. He's a business person. He's someone who's just extremely smart in like a rational way. He doesn't really let himself get carried away by like his emotions or like by his own personal attachment to anything. And I'm the opposite. I always have opinions. I'm always, emotionally attached to stuff that I work on. I'm an artiste, I guess.
Christian, actually, I remember I bring him in my office to say, hey, we've decided if we're gonna fund you for a full season. He had done the pilot, and we paused, and I told him like we're not gonna fund a full season for Arcane. And then I told him like I think it's really important you understand why, because you and I can be on a different page, but it's very important you understand where I'm coming from. And the reason I'm not going to validate you to move to a full season is because I'm going to allow you to move to multiple seasons. And so I kind of trolled him a bit.
He pulled a bit of a prank.
And I think he was really pissed at me for this.
So yeah, he definitely gave me the trust that I needed to develop Arcane the way that Fortiche and our team at Riot needed to do it, which was not the easy way, but like really this like pursuit of like, hey, this is what we think our audience wants, and it's ambitious and crazy, but we need you to trust us, and he did.
You need to stay committed to players because nothing's going to be easy. There will be many moments where you want to give up. I know Christian went through this multiple times, we went through this multiple times, and you need to have the grit and the courage to continue for players.
As we were looking at trying to scale a lot more, and we had season 1 in production, and we started to think about how are we going to do the first development of season 2 at the same time. That's when we started looking for someone to help figuring out the production scale a bit more.
It was tough because we couldn't find the right culture fit. A lot of people kind of shied away from like, hey, this isn't normal TV, this isn't normal animation. I think I'm just gonna go, insert any animation studio out there, right? But finally, one time I got connected with a woman named Melinda Dilger.
Hey guys, come on in. Welcome to Casa de Dilger. I work here because of COVID. This is Willie Nelson. He's the boss of Arcane right here. He's in all the meetings. He loves it. He loves his job. Yes.
I just loved talking to her. She had such a warm energy. She just also had experience. Like, I mentioned some of the issues that we were dealing with, and she seemed unfazed by it.
This is where all my meetings happen. It's very exciting. This is where I burn off my energy, and I got that when I
Different
worked on my
perspectives are very
Hawkins
helpful.
Returns, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I remember sitting down all of the stakeholders, and I think I literally told them, you better not fuck this up. I like her, she's awesome. If you fuck this up, I'm gonna kill you.
I was producing by the time I was 24. That was when I was really young. I worked on Darkwing Duck. That was my very first animated show to be on as a production assistant. I was working on Goof Troop, Aladdin. I won an Annie Award. That's kind of a big deal right here. This is very proud of this. Very nice. I know whenever people tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, I watched that as a child. I'm like, oh, I'm so old. It's okay. It's okay. You know, now everybody looks at me and they say, we're so glad we have somebody with so much experience on the show, which really equates to old, but it's okay. I can take it, you know. Riot's a very young company.
And I am rolling. All right, I think you've had enough, mate.
Yeah, the team health when I first started wasn't so great.
Got the voice
Everyone
actors
was
coming in.
I was like, man, this team, they need some loving. They need some loving.
Making the show that we kind of set out with Arcane, you know, with the right designs for these characters that work in our IP, you know, this fantasy world. The pursuit of creative work is complex. If your expectation is that you're gonna work on something creatively where you're gonna have no pressure or no feeling of like being overwhelmed at times, then you're working on something the world is gonna forget.
By then, I think I was super exhausted because I was like 3 years into the project or something. I know Christian was exhausted, Alex's beat, and like she brought in that new energy and just sort of this like, yep, let's pick it up and let's go.
How are you guys feeling? Are you exhausted? Right? Cool. Are you okay to keep going? From what I was hearing, it was just taking them a long time to kind of get their bearings. And let's face it, Fortiche, our animation partner studio in Paris, they had also never produced a series. So you have a bunch of newbies trying to figure this out, and lo and behold, it is really a difficult process, and it's a challenging one, even for those of us that have been in the business for a really long time. You missed a really long, important strategy meeting that answers all the questions of the universe.
That was a Rosebud meeting.
For Riot and beyond. The Rosebud
You're
meeting.
missing the Rosebud.
Melinda was always someone that is extremely inspiring to the team and creating a team atmosphere where it's okay when things are tough, as long as you just kind of believe in the team and have the right dream together.
It's like, well, you can get everything in New York like that. Oh, gee. Oh, God, I can't. Oh.
See, you guys didn't think you'd be on behind the scenes, and here you are. There's Eric Bergman, our post supervisor. Hi, Eric's used to all the publicity. Eric, you're on mute. See, this is what we do every Zoom call.
Hello.
Somebody's always on mute.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I just came in and kind of rolled up my sleeves and went from department by department, just trying to get everybody together and get to know each individual on the team as a person. This is a French studio and there's no wine, but you have IPA.
It's like there's two teams, the beer team and the wine team.
Well, where's the wine? And that's part of building team trust. And then you can start to actually solve the problems. Dig deep. That's what you gotta do. So this is our production schedule. In March of 2020, that's when this started. And then it goes all the way through the last episode. Because this is the first series Riot's ever done, a lot of things are getting figured out and developed as we go along in production. So it's taking a little bit longer than it typically would on a television series that's all thought out. Everything's figured out way ahead of time. This is like, how can we make this more unique and more special than any other show on television? Let's take our time and do it right. And if it takes us a little bit longer to get those scripts done, that's what we do.
There's a natural balance of power, and you just gave everybody nukes. Congratulations, you fucked up, right?
This is the thing that's always been all fuzzy to me, is just kind of how we end this episode with the Victor Singed thing.
Yes, I would love
Singed.
to bring Vi
Oh, I thought it was
back
Singed.
into Caitlin's mind in this episode in some way. I wrote like something about missing Vi that I have not solved yet either.
And to kind of like take the IP that's there from the games and turn it into something really awesome for television is a challenge. They're gonna spend more money than most people to get it there, but They're doing it because they love the players and they want the players to be happy. And it's special. It's like you don't just see them as these little tiny things walking across the screen. By putting them on television, they have soul and they're deep and you can relate to them.
One of the biggest questions we had though was, can this be sustained over 6 hours? Will people watch something like this and fall into the immersion of the animation?
Do you actually have that quality to mesmerize an audience by staring at two characters, not saying a word? It's all between them and the air and the emotions.
100%.
We all want to take animation to this place of mature drama, subtlety and nuance, style and innovation, but it doesn't exist, and I think we together can do it.
Nice. I think that one was more about, well, it's called persistence, but like just keep going. So they were having a lot of trouble with actually getting it going after the pilot. So it looks like they were on it for a really long time. They had a big budget, but not a lot of confidence in them. Something I think you need to do is when somebody says no, you keep pushing for it, which is what they did, which is really awesome. But that definitely works, trust me. You have to keep motivation and determination and just keep going. But it would have been so easy for them to just drop it and like give up. But it seems like that guy, I think he's called Christian, he's a very determined, creative person. I like that. Okay, I'm going to do one more episode today, and then I'm going to finish the last two on a different time. At a different time. It's like keyframes or something. Killstreaks make keyframes. They're getting like quite into the full season now. We will show them all.
There definitely is a lot of Paris life and culture in Arcane. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of Piltover looks like Paris. Things are designed to be functional, but also to be a piece of art. I think that's something very much the French kind of spirit. Yeah, so this venue is actually where we had Worlds a few years ago. It's cool because it was really close to our studio, and so we sent a bunch of people from Fortiche. It was just something really special to finally be able to share that with them. I think they were fans of the story, you know, and of the characters, but you kind of also have to experience like the buzz in the world around the game.
On a tout de suite vu que c'était quand même le jeu mondial et l'opportunité de faire quelque chose de très très bien.
For us, Arcane was a big opportunity to show the viewers that we are not only good to make trailer and music video.
Ça part vraiment d'une intention vraiment de plaisir, de passion, de faire un film, enfin une série, plus que de faire du marketing.
If I'm confident about that, I don't know. I hope people are gonna be surprised.
So last episode of the season.
I think everybody on the project is out to prove something with what we're doing. And I firmly believe that you need to find someone who's kind of willing to bleed for like this thing they're trying to make. I don't think otherwise you're gonna really be bold. Otherwise you're not gonna really have anything where you're gonna risk something. And I think you have to risk something in order to make something that makes an impact. repetitive scene here at Fortiche about what they call is a baby foot, right? Baby foot?
Yes.
The suspense is killing me.
It's killing us.
Oh, there's the worthy goal. Basically, the idea for this trip is to get into a room with the directors, the animators, the editors, and just brainstorm a bit together. Like, what would be the coolest version of this scene or this kind of episode? So you're just worrying about, like, it being too complex?
My goals this whole time is like, I want to solve the story beats with the team in Paris. It's just going to be great to be like, hey guys, here's all our awesome ideas. And then they tell us whether they can produce it or not, or steer us more into something achievable.
It's not done till it's done, right? You know, it's like the block of marble chiseling away, and then occasionally you know, knock off like an arm and have to start over.
If we ever proceed with a scene without taking in that input from the directors here, it's worse, you know, because they're just so talented and they always find this really creative spin. Pascal has this amazing eye for character designs, the models, the stylization.
Tu vois la cam, je sais pas si on pouvait pas mettre une caméra qui tremble un peu là-dessus. Who is the...
Why just the man of shadow?
Jérôme, he's the invisible wizard at Fortiche.
Today I want to create the lab to experiment new style for the future with Riot.
I think when you think about the final look, that painterly look that's integrated into 3D, the super subtle, nuanced camera work where everything feels like it's handheld and really human and real, a lot of that is Jérôme.
De-aging with me, please.
Okay.
I want some de-aging. So,
Who is Arnaud?
Who is Arnaud?
Who is Arnaud?
He tells us, you know, what I want is a psh, what I want is a you know what? And
Who is Arnaud?
Who is he? So this is the Arnaud model. So the hair is pretty detailed. And then he doesn't have any pants. And they wanted to incorporate the 3 directors in the show.
Happy Progress Day!
Gotcha.
When Arnaud has like a crazy idea, the best thing you can do is just shut up and let him do his thing, because like it tends to be just like that's when the cool shit happens, you know.
I loved that they added them as kids in there. It was not something we thought of on the in the room, but it just added this level of emotion between them. Honestly, it's like, oh, I feel like these characters could be in love now.
In love? I didn't pick up on that.
This sequence is
I kind of thought them fighting and blowing each other up was the opposite.
It's, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah,
masterpiece of the whole season.
Yeah, this particular image to me is just like the combination, you know, Hextech's art and science. And I think that's exactly what I feel like the Fortiche depiction is. You know, it is, I feel the science, I feel the power, I feel the energy, but I also feel the beauty.
Ce que j'aime bien aussi à Fortiche, quoi, c'est que on insuffle la vision de départ et tout le monde met son petit...
Sa pierre à l'édifice.
Sa pierre à l'édifice, comme on dit. Enfin...
So basically, this board is all the steps that happen in Fortiche. After we receive the script, we go to the design phase, which basically is doing design for character, props and background.
En l'occurrence, ce bateau-là, il a été fabriqué par Victor. Et en fait, mettre en scène ce bateau, c'est une manière de montrer que tout petit déjà, Victor était un génie.
Yeah.
Then everything goes in storyboard.
In the storyboard department, we take the scripts and we work with the directors. We try to build something that is not there yet in the script. But there's also the editing that is working at the same time to really find the good timing for the boards.
As an editor,
My job is to assemble those storyboards together into what we call animatic.
And then while that's happening, you're recording the dialogue with the talent.
I love a good conundrum.
Hammer forging is such delicate art.
Shimmer is rampant in the Undercity, attacks at the Hex Gates and in the Academy Square.
Yeah, but I said I already called it. You can't do... I called dibs.
We get voices from the actors, and then we cut them with sound effects and temp music in order to see the movie and see how it works.
That's so cool.
We're watching full-on storyboard animatics with the voice actors in there.
Vander learns none of this.
No worries there. Powder took care of the evidence.
I tried, okay?
So we were able to watch the whole season from start to finish before we animated the rest of the episodes.
That is, yeah, that's really cool.
I mean, honestly, on every aspect, we were afraid of this moment in the episode because it's not always easy to like get these like really raw emotional performances from really young actors. And so Mia Janess, who we cast for Powder, I remember going into the VO session and being like, all right, today we're gonna make a 11, 12-year-old girl cry. Let's see how that goes.
I am rolling on this.
She left me. She is not my sister anymore.
Wow.
I remember all of us in the booth just like being shocked by how good she is and just being in tears at the end of the, takes.
And I think we got it.
Yeah. I got the job when I was 10, and I'm almost 16, so it's been a while.
Oh, wow.
Why did you leave me?
Because you're a jinx!
No. To get into that place of vulnerability was hard for me.
Her voice hasn't got deeper or anything.
Come back, please, Violet! I need you, please! I have a little brother who is my best friend in the entire world. We get upset when we don't see each other for more than 3 days. I can't imagine a world where he isn't in it.
Where's the...
Oh, you're back! Thinking about what that would be like if something had happened that made it so that we couldn't bounce back. Next thing I knew, it was all just coming to the surface. I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help.
I told you to stay away.
When it comes to siblings, they're your blood. And when you don't have family, what do you have?
You've got a good heart. Don't ever lose it.
I agree.
How the world tries to break you.
I think siblings
Quand on entendait les voix, on se disait,
are one of the most important things in my life.
On peut avoir vraiment quelque chose de particulier, de beaucoup plus subtil et beaucoup plus profond en fait au niveau de l'acting. Et...
I always knew you'd come back.
What's going on?
Quand on entendait les voix, on se disait on peut peut-être aller vers du Scorsese plutôt.
Seeing the voice actors though is so
really
cool.
Scary to cast because you were
Actually
not
doing
just
the
making a
lines.
new character. It was like, oh yeah, there's 6 years of 100 gazillion million people who have very specific expectations and opinions about who these characters are. So don't f it up.
Wow, super boring.
Jinx took us the longest of all characters. I think we looked for the Jinx actress, for roughly 3 years.
It's Ella Parnell, right?
She's so beloved, and her voice is so specific. For a while, we were like, can we find someone who can do this?
The hard thing was that we had to find someone who can do both the intimate and quiet moments that are just these really vulnerable acting moments. But at the same time, we also needed an actress who can also do the really loud moments that Jinx is really known for. And you typically can find one or the other. I remember we were at a point where it was just, we've been looking for so long, we kind of just went through all of the LA catalog of talent. Let's just pick one and just go. And it was just this no, we can't. And at some point, through the help of some casting folks, we found Ella.
Hi.
And I mean, it was like the pearly gates just opened.
Well, look who it is. The boy savior. I felt this like really deep connection with her because of empathy and compassion, you know, on compassionate grounds. Like, yes, she's a terrible person. She's done all these terrible things. But is she a terrible person? Like, I don't know. I started to realize, like, who she's become, this Jinx that she's become, is just a deeply rooted, very difficult trauma response that she's developed because she's gone through things no one should ever have to go through. No, it was a mistake.
Ouais, c'est vrai que l'acting, je pense, dans Arcane, est bien plus poussé que dans la plupart des shows d'animation. Parce que notre envie, c'est plutôt de essayer de vraiment copier ces acteurs et le casting, des fois, a influencé même les designs des personnages et leurs attitudes, quoi.
In parallel of the storyboard, we are going in background and Kara props fabrication.
Wow. The
At
layers.
the beginning, we work in the same time with animation, so
Seems like
sometimes difficult to.
Seems like there's so many different stages and like people working on it that there's so much that could change for each scene, and like you can just see how much like time would have to go into each thing. Wow.
To know exactly the position of the character. Now we can see the 2D with a black and white. I don't paint because there is Silco. Enfin, moi, ce que je préfère, c'est l'évolution des personnages dans les histoires et elle a vraiment une évolution. Je pense que c'est pour ça que c'est mon personnage préféré. Puis j'aime bien son côté un peu folle et en même temps, elle est pas si folle que ça. Pas si méchante. Ouais.
So we've got designs, and from there we just build it in 3D. Yeah, it's very simple to explain. So here we made the Atlas Gauntlet, and the most difficult part was there is a lot of tiny parts who work together. So before it gets to the rigging department, we have to be sure it works first. Like all the tiny pieces, you see here. So it was engineered precisely to work like that. So it's a part of the fun, but it's part of the headache too.
It's actually
Very
really
complex.
fun to create like all those intricate pieces, like the leg and the feet of Victor, all those weird metallic parts blending with the body. This was the design for the hands. Then I modeled something like this, and then I gave it to the texture department, and they painted it so it looks like that.
Wow. That's from the enemies
All
music
the
video, right?
process is
Enemy.
built around the idea of bringing the design to the final image, and that's great because this is actually like the design is just brought back in 3D, and it's actually what the designer thought of.
Bah là, je vous présente en fait ce que c'est un rig, le rig de marionnette. C'est vraiment des joints, des os fictifs qu'on met en place. Donc c'est des points de pivot qu'on peut faire tourner avec des mains. On a une équipe d'animateurs qui est tellement forte et ils vont trouver, je sais pas, 3-4 idées pour rajouter de la vie au personnage.
Wow.
And then we are going at layout stage, and they start, to do the staging and the camera movement.
On essaye de traduire le storyboard en 3D et de transmettre en fait des émotions juste avec une caméra, avec les mouvements de caméra, avec la focale qu'on va choisir, de trouver des jolis cadrages et de trouver le rythme aussi de l'animation.
And then it goes to animation.
That looks creepy.
T'as le plan de Moïse avant où il va partir, il part et puis sur le départ en fait il se fait tomber, t'as pas besoin d'avoir une grande distance mais juste sentir.
If you go in the dictionary, like animation is giving life to something. Being animated, you know, it's just like get the passion of something as well. And us, we are like the puppet master, the puppeteer.
No motion capture.
No motion capture.
No? Please, let people know that.
Why not?
Well, motion capture is used when you want to have some realistic animation, and only that.
Look out!
Keyframe animation, it pushes you to understand what happened in the body, how everything worked together to have like this feeling of natural and believable animation.
Yeah.
And also it's about like the style of the show. It's semi-realistic, but it's not fully realistic. We try to keep something really handcrafted.
Animating, it's like acting out characters, you know, it's about performance.
When I saw the style of Arcane, it was something like I want to try this kind of animation because it's really different from the cartoonish style I used to be in. And after working for so long in the industry, I wanted to challenge myself. To be honest, Echo is the kind of character I would have loved to see when I was a kid.
Echo?
One of the first dialogues you had with Bai, I arrived with something completely different from the board, and Bart was like, "Oh, I didn't thought about this way, but it's interesting." And it was the same with Christian. I tried something like he was a little bit pissed and walking slower and just making with the face and giving a small attitude, not like a snake, but like this kind of movement to say, "Yeah, I'm the one controlling the stuff."
So remember, like a shot like that, the animator, when he was assigned the shots, did shoot himself in order to get some references, and that what gives us the realistic look and the live action feel.
We do work a lot with references. We go in the reference room. We shot ourselves. We try to pretend and be the character and be in the right emotion.
Why aren't you playing with the others? Why aren't you playing with the others?
But the video reference is really something that helps you capturing something natural. Sometimes like you got a shot to do and you got an idea in your head and you can probably like just go straight into the computer and do your stuff and it will work. But if you go in a ref room, you start recording yourself, you may end up having like some like little accident that you do that can be really interesting. And you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's dig into that.
Yeah.
Remind me why we bother with this dump.
How can I say no to such an auspicious offer?
You feel like you're inhabiting those different characters in a way?
Well, you have to. When you see 1 second of an episode, like an animator spent a day on it. So
yeah,
if you work on an expression, on a feeling, on a shot that lasts for 1 second, you're gonna spend a day having that feeling in your mind, like try to reproduce it. It's not rare to have like you go around the animation department and you can see like people like doing like
yeah.
Like this just this face where you're just like acting what that's the common thing in animation, really.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be part of this sequence particularly. Like there is a lot of crazy sequence, but this one was the one for me.
Yeah,
and when I heard that I was working on it, I was like, it was like a dream. Like, and I was really happy because I had the slow motion moment, and I have the opportunity to work with my son to make the the movement of Echo young. He's 9 years old, almost 10. We came here to shot the scene where Echo is running slowly in slow motion. Yeah, it was so cool to share that with him. It was like a moment, father and son, and I hope he will remember all his life.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It's only experimenting for now with painting. It's about to be tested. For the glitches, we draw them directly on the computer. For this one, we are searching for another kind of process, more realistic.
2D effects are very specific at Fortiche because, you know, it's a Fortiche trademark, you know, doing 2D effects on CG animation.
They're just like traditional animators doing effects frame by frame.
Donc ici, on a le pouvoir que Jace crée avec son marteau.
And drawing, frame by frame, and layers by layers.
But sometimes it's very difficult to follow the camera movements, which are very interesting.
This kind of shot is really difficult to do because the camera is a little bit hard to follow. I think I worked something like 3 weeks on it.
Wow.
Depuis une dizaine d'années, on fait des FX 2D pour les teasers de Riot. Sur le teaser de présentation de Jinx, donc qui s'appelle Get Jinxed, on a découvert le style Fortiche.
It must be frustrating to like have this vision and it doesn't get like realized or like fully, you don't get to see it for years and years because it takes so long.
I have this feeling all the time when I'm watching something in progress and I'm like, we get to the animation phase and I'm looking at the animation, I'm like, how are you gonna make this better? You know, how is this scene gonna feel more immersive? You know, how are they gonna possibly, you know, level this up?
When everything is done, animation, background, simulation, 2D effects, we render it and we composite it.
We come at the end of the process and basically we'll take all of what the other department has created and then we put it together.
Because the background is paint, there is actually no light used for the characters. We have to adapt the characters to the background. So when we see like a red light on Sevika and it's changing for a green light when she is going further, actually, technically, nothing is there. We have to create everything from the background, from what we see in the background. So yeah, we go from here to here.
Yeah, that's insane.
Compositing at Fortiche is one of their signature crafts, and it's just a straight mystery box for me.
How do they paint the light?
I cannot tell you. It's not that I'm, you know, hold back anything, but some of the process I don't even understand, so.
I don't know if I can show you. Yes, it's kind of secret.
The way to light, it's different. It's special Fortiche way. But it's so simple. When you know the trick, you say, ah, so simple.
It's not magical trick. It's just artists and people who are doing beautiful things.
The real magic is on the everywhere.
Because of their handcraftedness and the paintery look, it gives us this timeless look that I think even when technology evolves, that this will still feel lasting. You know, in the same way, I think I can go back and watch like the Disney animation like Bambi or, you know, like Cinderella, and it's timeless. It doesn't age because it's handcrafted.
Nothing is round in the show. If you have a glass, if you see this glass, it's not round because a drawing is not perfect.
You know, if you see the eyes, you know, the pupils.
The pupil is not round, except the gemstone.
This is the only moment where there is a sphere, perfect sphere.
Wow, that's a cool fact.
Et l'idée un peu, c'est d'avoir chaque image, comment dépasser la qualité que peut produire un dessin animé 2D classique. Et ça, la 3D nous le permettait. Et c'est d'avoir que chaque image, chaque pose qu'on fait, ça reste un peu un concept art, une belle illustration.
There's just storytelling happening at every phase and every level.
Alex on the other side of the ocean. Good morning.
Good morning. So Ray, I think that was a great first read. Can the second violins play that a little bit softer?
I've never worked on a show before where the musicians are such an integral part of everything.
These are like this is the music team, you know, so they wrote all the songs.
They've been spending, what, 3-4 years on the music for this show? Like, every TV show, sometimes you get 3-4 weeks for an episode to do music.
Yeah.
I would say that Arcane is all the muscles that we've grown as a company.
There's so many different parts of the development.
Combined. I really believe that what we're doing with music in Arcane Season 1 has never been done in entertainment, period.
Oh, that was a memory of one of the artists. Okay, that was the first 3 episodes of Bridging the Rift. It was really nice to see the behind the scenes process for Arcane, but it also made me feel so like in awe of like how many different facets there are to the development of the show. Animation. They're filming themselves, carrying out the actions, they're animating it, the storyboards, the voice actors, the music, the actual writing took them a long time. And they had to bring different people in, and getting the different perspectives from different people really helped them to move forward. There was also, you know, some struggles they had with funding and like getting people to believe in the show, like being able to progress it. Yeah, it's just a really inspiring story. I think there's a lot of really good messages just from the behind the scenes, like how to, you know, keep your dream going. But I also think like it must be so hard to sit with, as they're saying, they would spend a day on like a second. It must be so hard to move so slowly. TV show like directors or people who work on usual TV shows, they get to see the product of their work so soon, whereas these guys have had to spend years waiting for this show to like be done to like see the finished product. I think that must be so hard as somebody who clearly is so creative and like filled with ideas that he had it all planned out before he'd even started. To have to wait that long must have been so difficult. Seeing the voice actors doing the actual lines was so cool as well. Seeing the raw animation and like what the concept for the characters were before, just how detailed the show is, like how much effort goes into every single scene, and the detail, the writing, everything is just so amazing. And this episode is like a lot about the keyframes, like how they move things. So like it's a mixture of different types of animation, but when they're doing the 3D models, that's just so cool. I can't even fathom how that works. I do like basic editing, like After Effects, not anything to do with like editing YouTube videos, but like in my spare time I like to edit different things personally, just for my personal enjoyment. And so I can use like basic like keyframes and stuff like that, but just being able to fathom like animation for 3D animation, I would like, I can't wrap my head around that. And like editing the different like I'm also just not good at like drawing or anything, so that kind of side I'm really impressed by, like how many different people are doing that. There must be like, it must be hard to like keep the heart of things when you have lots of people come into like their different opinions, their different changes, which it sounds like it's mostly been positive, but I was just thinking like there's so many different stages where somebody could say like I don't like this, or like they change it, and then it's like, well, everything just seems like a big like contribution from everyone, like collaboration, and like sometimes that can go really wrong. So it's great that it was actually a really positive thing for them having different perspectives to help them get the like raw emotions, to help them get like physical movements animated great. Yeah, I found this to be very informative. I liked it. I'm probably gonna watch the next 2 episodes at some point over the next week for my Patreon followers. So you'll see that soon. I get Arcane, the first episode of season 2, up tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'm even more excited now to see it. I'm just dying to see how the cliffhanger is resolved there. Hey guys, it's Willow, and today I'm back with Bridging the Rift. It's taken me about, was it a week ago when I last watched the other ones? I don't know, maybe 2, but I'm back to watch the last 2 and finish it all off with you guys. So last time when we were watching, it was kind of going through all the different aspects to filming Arcane, all the struggles, and how much actually goes into just one Arcane episode is quite frankly insane. They spend hours on a single frame, and so it's a miracle like anything got done, because obviously in the first couple as well, when they were trying to pitch the idea and get funding, they were really struggling as well, but they ended up persevering and pushing through. And yeah, there are loads of interesting things, like they use videos of actual people doing the stunts to animate them, and the last video was looking at the keyframes, the more specific details of animating, the voice actors' work, the people writing the scripts, and the scripts get like the scripts and the plotline get so heavily edited because obviously it's taken them so long just to even do season 1, and there's so many different people pitching in their ideas and what they think is the right thing. It's a very, very creative and complex process. And very impressive. But yes, I think this episode 4 is about the music side of things. Obviously, we did already learn a bit about the music, and they said that it has such a big music is such a big part of the show, and their recording for music has like for an animation gaming studio, having such a big music production is pretty insane. But yeah, they do. So I'm very excited to get into this video and learn a bit more about the behind the scenes for season 1. Obviously, I'm over halfway through season 2, so it's not like, I understand I wasn't completely on time for these, but I've also heard there's a season 2 kind of Bridging the Rift on a smaller scale. I don't know what it's called, but a behind the scenes thing. Very willing to do. Also very willing to do more about the universe, learn more about that. I find it to be very interesting. As always, you can find my uncut early reactions on my Patreon. Okay, let's get into this episode. Time to prove them all wrong once again. I think they had managed to finish the pilot at this point, right? Because they did the pilot a lot way before the rest, didn't they?
At Riot, we've always loved music. In fact, in certain countries, people don't call us a game company. They call us a music company. They say we're making games to do marketing for our music.
A lot of music videos.
And so obviously, when we dived into a TV show, we knew music was going to be a big part of it.
Music is obviously personal to Christian. It's personal to a lot of folks on that team.
I think Alex Yee once said, when you go write a script, and I think it's the same thing with music, you know, when you go write a song and you sit down to do it and someone asks you, oh, are you gonna write a great song today? It's kind of like going, you know, maybe, you know, it's kind of like going fishing, he said. I know what tools to use. I have experience to know where the best spots are.
Welcome to the playground.
That's from
But whether or not I'm actually going to catch one,
They've got some pretty good
We've
musical.
worked on all kinds of genres at this point, and when Arcane came about, we said, hey, we're going to craft a full album of all these different songs, of all these different genres. It really was the culmination of all the different skill sets that we've developed over the many years on the music team to craft something that's really unparalleled.
I think it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye.
LA.
Welcome to my studio in North Hollywood. This is where we make some of the music for Arcane.
Because they've got people in France as well.
So we were going for an incredibly messy aesthetic of gear everywhere. We don't invite people over. You're the first human beings I've seen or invited here in years. We prefer dark, no windows. I love this space so much. It's the first time I've been able to have like an actual piano. I've got the most important instrument of them all, obviously, the French horn here. Everything I do is just French horn, and then I'll just auto-tune it to sound like other instruments. It's a cool trick that I learned in school. Just kidding, I'm way in debt for my college loans. It's a sad story.
What made Seaver really, really special is that he's not only extremely talented at writing melodies, you know, for pop vocals, but also he's a classically trained musician. He went to Juilliard as a French horn player, and when that career failed, he became a really successful pop artist.
I've been working with Riot since about 2016. Each year for their Worlds event, the biggest esports tournament probably ever, we write an anthem for them, so like a big pop song. Legends Never Die was the first like Worlds anthem that I wrote. And about 2.5 years ago, Christian reached out and he's like, what do you think about Arcane? Do you want to get involved? And I was just like, oh yes, please, this would be the sickest.
We always wanted to make music part of the development from the very beginning, instead of just this post-production phase, you know, that it often is in film and television.
The first time I heard about Arcane was pretty much a series of index cards stuck to the acoustic treatment in Christian's composing room. Technically, he was still a composer then, but he had the story that he wanted to tell, and he had ideas for who he wanted to help him tell it.
Music on Arcane started with Alex Temple, who is just an incredible composer.
But at that point, I hadn't done any longer form narrative work. I'd done shorter form narrative, whether it's like a 3 to 5 minute trailer or things like that, but nothing approaching the scope of Arcane.
Can you show me what this is?
So this is a gudgeon. I might be pronouncing it slightly incorrectly, but yeah, normally it's played. It has a pentatonic scale, and you can affect the pitch by, you know, bending over here. I've been using it completely incorrectly, you know, playing the back side of the instrument, or even sort of playing it with this singing bowl mallet.
For the first few months, at least, we actually stayed away from any like picture material from the show, and we just explored themes in isolation for a character, every character.
I think when working on a theme, you want something that clearly makes a statement about who this character is, but you also want something that's adaptable. So this is the beginning of episode 3. We have this vocal melody that comes in. So for example, we have this character Silco. You know, he's kind of one of the villains of the show. He's a complex character. He has good reasons for some of his motives, but he's sort of a villain. The music that I end up writing for him is not sort of villainous at all. It's very sort of welcoming and kind of seductive in a way. So sometimes when we use these sort of motifs, they come back in kind of subtle ways.
He was very mysterious in Act 1. Didn't even know his name till episode 3.
Kind of a very confused, distorted version of that melody we heard performed so beautifully by the soprano in the other cue.
We really wanted to have
just melodies, you know, for characters. Like, really, like you should feel like you remember this character in this moment when you hear this melody. They're always there, but sometimes they're darker, sometimes they're brighter, sometimes they're faster, but they're always there.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of animated shows do this.
Alex
And
Temple, the
normal
lead
shows.
composer, he's just such a god-tier orchestra composer, like to a level I can't get to.
First violins at bar 13 can play
Like,
that out a little more.
the different characters have a theme, and if you go back and you know the theme, you can hear it in the background whenever they come into a scene. Obviously, I haven't rewatched Arcane, so I don't know if that's I wouldn't be able to recognize, to be honest, yet.
Thanks. One more for luck, and then we'll move on.
Game of Thrones does it as well. That's another non-animated show. Each character has a theme composed originally.
It's funny because I was a French horn player growing up, and so I listened to just all this Mahler and like Bruckner and all these people, and so I thought I was obsessed with it, and then I'd talk Mahler with him, and he's just like, oh, the specific recording of George Schulte from 1975, I prefer the third movement versus the Bernstein recording, and you're like, okay, all right, you win the nerd contest.
So Ray Chen is a phenomenal violinist. You never know quite what it's going to be like working with, somebody who's
beautiful.
at the top of their field.
Ray plays as a soloist with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, the big orchestras in Europe, London. He's probably the first classical violinist who plays on like a $20 million Stradivarius to an animated series.
He's got a lot of patience. A lot of the time, the music I put in front of him, it's written because we know he can play it.
Oh yeah.
Nice. I don't know about that.
That was horrible, my God.
Yes, who was the composer who composed this?
We're approaching the finale of the first season. It's getting very dramatic for all of our characters. This is a cue that's based on the theme of the character Victor. This is around the time when he pushes his body and the transformation further and further, and kind of gets seduced in a way by this hex core, and starts to kind of lose parts of his humanity. And there's kind of like a terrible beauty, if that makes sense.
It's a really tragic moment, but it's also kind of a tragic ascendancy because it's not a good thing that's happening. But at the same time, this is kind of like a leveling up of the character. This is an important stage of his development.
I've been doing orchestra stuff with Alex Temple for about 2.5 years. And it was only about a year ago that we were like, let's do a 11, 12 song pop soundtrack to go with the show.
There's a girl in town and word's gonna rap, she's just fine.
We knew that we also wanted to create these special moments in every episode with music. And so with the editors and the directors of our team, we tried to find a moment where the music can actually take over and be in the spotlight.
Declare war on anybody standing in the way of what I dreamed for. How could you ignore?
Working on Arcane, the pressure is pretty high. All these great, amazing artists.
There are lots of different music
and
styles.
the animation is amazing. The score is amazing. The sound is great. The music has to be good too. The songs have to be good.
Sebastian is like ultimate homie for me. Don't play with the misfits. We did Rise together, did Awaken together. I cannot wait to work with him any chance I get.
Sebastian is this interesting character. I remember in his interview, we always asked him, like, what kind of song would you make for this character, for that moment? And he would always just go, I don't know. And so we were like, we don't know if he's the right guy for the job. And then you just start hearing the songs, and all of a sudden you're just blown away. He's the kind of person who just does, but doesn't talk about it.
I don't know.
We call these the banger labs, or where all the bangers are made. Well, have we heard there's some music going on?
So I had already worked on cinematics for Riot and music videos and things like that. But Arcane, the extra difficulty was that, you know, the purpose of the song is for a scene, is for the story.
Who told you it was down here?
Unlike other movies and shows that might have just like a standalone incidental soundtrack of pop artists, we actually wrote these to picture the way that you would score something.
I've seen your face around here. Come along, tell me under the table. What do you see?
I know for Sebastian and myself, it was like really difficult to like figure out that language where we're getting things to feel like a song, but also getting them to dodge between dialogue or like hit peak moments to picture, which might not be happening at a set tempo.
I think so much in what we do with the songs, you can kind of find parts of the world as well. Like Zon, this underground world, where a lot of things kind of get repurposed, reused, mangled, distorted. That's what the drums kind of also tell me. Where I feel like, okay, if Jinx would design a kick drum, what would it sound like?
When we worked with B. Miller, she had recorded some really amazing improvisations. Like this for example, is... She totally understood the vibe of what we were trying to convey, you know, descending into Zon, and it just was perfect.
Or she has like a music video that's Arcane.
My dream was that
in
we
real
could
life?
write the songs early enough so we can even still edit, you know, sequences and boards to the music. I think what we found pretty fast is that we would have this issue that we would approach all these artists and we'd say, oh, we want to make music with you, make these songs. And they say, oh, cool, that's awesome. When do they go out? And we would tell them like, oh, in 2 years. And they would go, oh, never mind. You know, so what we did instead is to actually write the songs ourselves and then bring on the artist to kind of like, you know, either just sing it or find their version of it.
Wherever you are, light it up and I'll find you.
Funny enough, we didn't even initially think about Woodkid for this song. We had him for a different one, and he happened to hear this demo and went, oh, let me do that one instead. And it was the greatest thing that could have ever happened. This was like sort of an action-y piece when I had first written it, and then he turned it into the most chill-inducing string thing I've ever heard. But yeah, so like it always just starts here, and then you never quite know what it's gonna end up being.
The other big one was the Jinx Echo fight in episode 7. Got that vibe figured out, and then for the vocalist, the rapper, we're like, okay, we have some ideas of who could be super cool. Like, okay, let's see what can, you know, let's send the track to them and see do they want to do it, and also, you know, are they going to do something that fits? You know, Denzel Curry was one of them.
In this Gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win.
Jizzle was another one.
Just might kick your butt, go run amok, then paint my nails. Never learned to raise my hand, was too busy raising hell.
And Brenjo, he sent us a demo that was kind of, sounded like a female vocal. I was like, oh, that's a really cool, catchy kind of chorus part. Turns out it was him just pitched up.
Oh yeah, he mad, I'm racking up white diamonds. Throw me in the sky, you would swear the sun shining.
All three sent us really awesome stuff. So we got 3 demos, like, oh my god, like, what can we do? A little bit of a challenge just from having so much good material. How do how do we make it in, how do we make 3 songs into one song? Let's try to use all 3.
Wow, I didn't realize it was 3 songs in one.
That was one cool and challenging thing about working on Arcane songs is you get these puzzles that you have to solve.
Was too busy raising hell. Everything I know I am. You should go and save yourself. Thought you had my number, huh? Congratulations, played yourself.
Season 1, everything we did for music was kind of happening then like after the cut, the episodes were already done. And so now if we do it early enough, we would have the ability for the artists to just kind of write whatever they want, and then we can cut the episodes to it. I think it was such a limitation for the writing musicians, you know?
Working with Christian is pretty special because he's a musician. That's also another great thing about him is that he's not going to waste time. If it's not great, he'll tell you. He'll tell you right away, yeah, it's not working.
Can you play the 57, just solo it real quick? I just want to hear it because I don't know if the orchestra always makes me feel like it's more convoluted than what it actually is.
Christian started his career at Riot in an entry-level position, answering tickets when players have a problem, whether it's a technical problem or billing problems. Then only a couple years later, he started to write some music, and only then we realized, oh my God, this guy is an amazing talent.
Christian, the first time I met him, he came onto campus. Very quiet, very unassuming, other than, of course, the neck tattoo. And I'm like, so, tell me, what jobs have you worked? What have you done prior to coming here? And he's like, oh, well, I did some music.
Oh, so...
I was in a band, I traveled around Europe doing some tour kind of stuff. I was like, don't care, how well will you serve the players? It took me a little while to realize that he was, in fact, a big deal. I believe he told me the biggest audience he played in front of was like 100,000 people.
Christian's a freak because he gives us feedback like, no, the cello needs to be an octave lower and it needs to be this dynamic. Like, he just knows how to speak music. That's my favorite Christian feedback. When I released my album, I had one song that I was like super into, and I'm still really happy with it, but I just remember Christian was like, and Christian liked it when I was working on it, and then he heard the final, he's like, it sounds unfinished.
You gotta break them before we can build them up.
Yeah, we're all so broken.
Because he does the directing as well, right?
He goes to give us high fives and we flinch.
I hope I'm remembering that correctly.
We're all so broken.
Ready?
It's going, it's just the episode 8 track, we're just gonna have to pivot. It's the last song we had to come up with, and this one was...
the hardest one.
Yeah, really.
The concept was...
ambitious.
It was ambitious and hard to execute.
When you kind of go into it knowing like, by the way, this is the big champion moment for Vi and for Jace, and this needs to be great, and you're gonna question every choice you make because it's like, but is it great? And so it's also just expectations are always really high. So this is a bit of a Hail Mary just to kind of say, hey, we couldn't really figure it out, and so someone had recommended Paris, just because she has a really cool sound, and then we just kind of went, maybe we should just let her do her thing. So this is like a demo they send over, and yeah, we're just kind of opening it up for the first time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Feels like Vi. Feels right.
Her voice just feels like kind of something that Vi would. The attitude's really, really fun. She even has like the shaved side, and then like the nose ring. I was like, she kind of is Vi.
That's not an original. Wait. It's Imagine Dragons.
I'm a
Dan from Imagine Dragons, and this is our studio. This is where we did Enemy. So I'll take you on back. Well, hello.
Oh, hello there.
This is Daniel Platzman, our drummer.
How's it going?
Ben McKee, our bass player.
Oh, fancy meeting you here.
And Wayne Sermon, the guitarist. And this wasn't planned at all. I can't believe you guys are in here at this exact time.
What are you doing here? I just felt like I needed to be here.
Vi is actually the player that I play on League of Legends, so I definitely associated with it. And
that was a question I had. Like,
yeah.
Do all of you play or some of you?
The three of us play. So Platzman plays, Ben's a more old school gamer.
Did you try League?
I have tried League. It is... I am a simple man.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. We have definitely been late on stage in front of, I don't know, tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, because we were finishing a ranked League of Legends game, and we didn't want to get banned. I love Riot. We've worked with them for a long time, and we've been a part of the community for years. And I love Christian. We vibed out. He told me about what he'd been working on. He showed me a lot of slides and storyboard. At that time, it was in the very early stages of Arcane. But it was enough that I understood the dynamic at play with, you know, the sisters and Vi and Jinx.
What makes you different makes you strong.
You know, as far as Enemy goes, I think there's a lot of times in people's lives where you just feel like alone, or you feel isolated. And that song is written in isolation and feeling kind of you against the world. Searching to be home, stories that I told, when my back was to the world, smiling when I tell you you're the greatest. But once you turn, they hate us. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Look out for yourself.
Yeah, so that's the main theme, as well as the scene.
They say, pray away. I swear I'll never be sane.
I mean, it goes without saying, like, the last scene of season 1 is probably going to be an important scene. And it was this beautiful montage, and they had temped it up with this, like, stunning David Bowie song. And they're like, you know, Alex, could you write us a song that fills this moment? And you're like, sure, I'm going to have a panic attack first. I'm going to go see my therapist, and then as soon as I center myself, try and write a song that lives up to that moment. So here's some of the initial stems that I had done. It was just like a piano and my own vocal.
I am the monster you created. You ripped out all my parts.
Very good.
The way it starts is just like a person just like lamenting. I mean, it was really Jinx's voice in this song. The lyrics for that one came quickly. The difficulty with that was writing a song that's structured properly, because Jinx fires this rocket at first, which is like a beautiful moment as it soars across the sky.
Yeah, really
and
beautiful.
I wasn't at the point in the song that something that big was supposed to happen yet. So we had to like figure out how to write almost like a bridge section that is this rocket blast moment before we get back to the second verse and before we continue the song. Christian would give us feedback and we'd kind of hit our stride, and then it would be like, okay, which artists do we want to have sing this?
I am your ghost, a fallen angel. You ripped out all my parts.
Sting was at the top of our list. I mean, it's pretty convenient to be like, oh, we'd love to have Sting. Like, oh yeah, would you? But we had him there, and we were able to talk to him about it and get him into it and show him the sequence, and he was just really generous, and it did exactly what we had hoped, which is just elevate it into this moment that is kind of above everything else. Like when you hear Sting's voice enter, you're just like, is that Sting?
Insane.
What could have been?
You know, it's funny because you work on these moments for so long until you actually, like, and you think, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. But you just don't quite know until you actually see everything done. And you just have that feeling for like 2 or 3 years where you go, I think it's gonna be amazing, but I'm not quite sure. And you just kind of have to wait because you just, you know, does the music come together? Does it have that kind of magical touch, you know? Like, does the storytelling come together? Does the acting kind of come together?
We're bleeding money, and for what? His dreams of rebellion. He's losing control.
I'm curious to see how it will go when this show hits all the platforms so people can watch it and it's released, and how it'll go for our League audience, you know? And also kind of like
Is it on more than
audience.
just
Our League
Netflix?
audience, they will certainly tell us how they feel. It changes the emotion, but all I really hear is just the... It's pretty scary to know that you're working on something that really cannot fail, you know? Like, that's not an option. And so it just makes you question everything.
I like that one. I think the music is such an important part of like the show. I mean, in any show, it's a really important part. Sometimes you don't even like realize because it's not the focus of the scene, but like definitely those big musical scores, I did remember them all. They were all really amazing. And the process, so they're saying they did it to the animation, so they sometimes had to rewrite like the bridge or whatever. He was saying the last one they had to rewrite, and the bridge, or is he saying that you need to reanimate it? I think they were talking about rewriting it, the music, but yeah, just the fact that they have to like, you know, make sure it fits the scene, find the right voice. It takes them years. They were saying like they would ask artists and then be like, it'll come out in 2 years. So they had to write it first and then find the artist later. All the songs are just so good. And they did a really good job of making the artist, the vibe, like fitting this scene. So many different genres throughout the show, but they all like fit and they're so memorable and good. And obviously some of them I've heard before and I didn't even know they were from Arcane and like made for Arcane. The obvious one is like Enemy by Imagine Dragons, but like, yeah, there are other ones as well. I don't know the name of them, but I've definitely heard them before I watched Arcane. Yeah, it's just such a creative process. It's really nice to see it. Okay, so we're moving on to the final Bridging the Rift episode, and then it's over. It was really nice to see all the behind the scenes stuff. I'm excited to see this one. We gave it our best shot. I don't know what the theme's gonna be for this one, but kind of wrapping up, you know, everything, maybe seeing how things went in terms of getting the episodes out and everything. Let's get into this one. I will give you the world if you prove you can take it. Oh, they're advertising it. Wow. Well, of course, they have so many insane artists on this show that could do something like this. From animators to music to drawing and writing. It's like all the creative minds.
When Arcane goes out, we will get death threats. Doesn't matter if we win every award in the world, we will inevitably piss someone off who really loves whichever character is in Arcane, and they will want to murder us.
I love it, but you know, I'm still anxious, right? We're 2 to 3 weeks to the launch, so maybe I'm completely fooling myself and it's gonna flop.
Let's have a look at that trailer for Riot Games' upcoming animated series.
So, it's like League of Legends Christmas right now?
Yeah.
Holy!
If it's even like half as good as that trailer is.
Oftentimes the question is like, how do you make something good? How do you know it's good? What if you don't know these characters? What if you don't know anything about League of Legends? Would you still engage in this?
Yeah.
Hopefully we succeeded
I don't know
in the biggest thing, which was
Sorry.
making League of Legends fans proud of their investment into the IP.
Jinx framed against this beautiful stained glass that was probably once like colorful and cheerful and happy, but now it's shattered and broken.
The fact that somebody can make an hour-long reaction video off of like the smallest teasers that we've made is impressive.
There's
Let's
so many
have a closer
details
look
in
at
the
this
show.
bit of animation because they're doing doubling. They're taking the character model and copying it gun barrel here, gun barrel here, gun barrel here, which is a technique that's stolen directly from 2D animation.
We dissected it like every frame, like it was spot on most of the time.
Her jaw unclenches as she opens her lips.
I mean, I can't imagine how much of
Wow,
those are going to
I'm
exist
not
after
that
we've
good.
released a whole season of Arcane.
I'm pretty shit. I get some comments on YouTube that are like, wow, you're picking up on everything really well. And I am surprised by those because I feel like I'm never picking up on all the details. But I can never predict stuff from it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, people on YouTube are being nice, but
And like what everybody's going to say and what everybody's going to do and think about it.
but yeah, that's insane.
It's not just a
very
story
detailed
or a
analysis.
project that goes out and if you don't like it, c'est la vie. It's like, no, it has to be good because it's this thing that our audience cares about so much, that we care about so much. So it's, it's not easy to make decisions when you have that in the back of your head.
Yeah, but at some point you gotta just be faithful to what you've done, like your story, and not worry about the audience and what they want to see. If we listen to everyone, you can't listen to everyone, but like also, if you're gonna listen to the audience over like what the story you've created, then it's just gonna be shit. Because it wouldn't make sense for your story.
I'm trying to save you from annihilation.
Good. Next.
I'm surprised what you can pull off when your life depends on it. Depends on it.
Because on it feels like it ends early. I have never worked on animation before this project, which I actually always thought was a detriment, but I was recently told that that was actually something they were looking for, so I was like, oh, good. That's pretty pissed. That's a little too pissed. They put so much detail and so much thought into the animation, you really do want to match it, like you want it to be just as detailed, just as nuanced, and sound as cool as it looks. So Andy is the sound effects mixer. So all the cool design, the weapons.
The sound is what I think really connects for a lot of people. Like they may not realize it. Same thing with like music. Music is kind of like a universal language. There's something about that, sonic thing that gets in your ear that really, I think, helps bring stuff to life. Like when I go see a scary movie, I cover my ears, man. I don't cover my eyes, right?
I think that's so true. The last movie that scared me in cinemas was 28 Years Later, which was actually last year. Not the second part, the first part. Because, it was the sound that was scaring me. It was so loud when the big giant ones were coming. I was scared. I wasn't scared of watching the, deaths. I was scared of, the sound of it running towards them. If you've seen it. In the cinema, it was insane.
What was that, 5?
Yeah.
Split the diff. Forsake you.
Drop the gun!
The goal is clarity in the end. It's supposed to be not noticed in a way. If it's noticed, maybe it's done, it's done wrong because it's scenes are believable when people believe that they're in them.
Sorry, my watch went off.
I thought that was a soundbite.
Shit. Redo. We should have had shirts that said Sound Bros.
Arcane Sound Bros.
I'm with stupid.
Yeah. We make the noises. Welcome. Thank you. To H150. A giant empty room.
This whole room for just Brad and I.
Thanks, COVID.
Oh yeah, everything was
You know, for just
difficult for production
developing
in
the
COVID.
soundscapes and kind of getting some temp mixes down. These rooms are perfect for that, and then we can go to the stage and kind of fine tune things. It's very identical to Brad's. Exactly the same, actually, except for I have some plants. I'm a big plant guy, but obviously everything would die in this room, so I had to find the best looking fake plants. Target's got some great fake
Got
plants.
my fake plants in the
Oh,
background.
these are
So I can't
Motion
look after
Picture
plants.
MPSC awards. These were for Blade Runner and a game, Resident Evil.
I love Resident
And
Evil.
hopefully there'll be a third one there when you come back.
I
and
love
film us for
Resident Evil,
season
my favorite
2.
game series.
Sound design, when you're working in animation, you're working completely from scratch for everything.
And a lot of times it's easy to just kind of do the bare minimum of what's needed for the scene because that's just sort of the aesthetic. But for this, from day one, it was let's create a really, really authentic sounding production track.
Brad and I's job ultimately is to work on the relationship between dialogue, music, and effects to help sell a believable story.
I remember in our second episode, there was this council scene where Jace has to kind of answer for his unsanctioned research. And that scene just did not work for me, and the animatics and everything. And I looked at this script page and I was like, no, these are the right words. Like, we're saying the right things. The animation looked great. I was like, what is the problem?
The sound.
The materials were far more dangerous than I was aware of.
Sounds like how it was recorded
my actions
in
were against Academy regulations.
the VO booth.
What I did endangered people. It was reckless.
But to sell
It's
the
weird seeing their voices come
sheer
from a
mass of
person.
this room, you know, you add reverb.
It was revolutionary.
Revolutionary how? All I see is a boy meddling with things he doesn't
Yeah, that's
understand.
better.
The second there was that like feeling of the words just expanding into this eerie space, it felt like every word just mattered so much more, you know? And that was the first time that scene really worked for me.
Bee Gees, backgrounds. You know, backgrounds are, you know, what world is this character in? What's happening around them? What could be happening around them?
The conversation with backgrounds is sort of like our wallpaper, kind of like lays the foundation. And sometimes it's a combination of stuff that you've recorded in the field.
We try to go out almost at least once a week or on the weekends. I'm constantly recording. My parents have this kind of 4x5, but when I pitched down the recordings I did, I got this, the engine had this kind of repetitive, and I was like, that's basically the industrial Zon.
That's really
Yeah,
clever.
the steam releases are cool little air compressor bursts pitched down.
That's so cool.
And then the Foley is really that next layer, right? Creating this whole level of realism.
For animation, it's huge.
The Foley crew was our good buddies at One Step Up. Dan O'Connell, John Cucci, totally crushed it. Each one of these tracks is, you know, somebody watching this scene and doing all the feat for that one character, going back, doing the feat for that next character.
Footsteps, props, which is kind of like, this is a prop when you set it on the table and it has a sound.
I've
And
watched
then
somebody on
gear, which is
Instagram
like,
actually talking about this job.
You know, Vi has a certain jacket on with
Just
a buckle.
recording sounds
that
for TV.
buckle makes a sound. You can kind of get a different feeling on each person. Brad and I come from a world of creating game assets and characters in game where Foley is a huge player in games. So, you know, our viewpoint on Foley is like, we need it and play it loud. You know, Dan and John, and what they
I
did
don't
is
like
like,
that sound.
their stuff is always 90% there and it fits in and it's great. But sometimes you need to embellish it.
The Foley on its own, it doesn't do what you need it to do, but like just the sound effects by itself.
I feel like it's a good time to mention that I have misophonia, so sound is a big thing for me. And anything like moist, wet. Yeah, even when I'm watching TV programs,
and the texture that you need from
like this
something
added in.
that's real. So together.
That can make TV a lot more real to me as well, though. When people are eating in a TV show, I still
there was a lot of
get
organic
disgusted.
recordings and thought that went into sounds that came from the natural world.
I kind of pick up everything that sounds cool. Just keep it. The elk are just gonna start running into the building through the walls. But I took that and sampled it out. 50 cal bullet. How about castanets? Got a lot of weird shit.
For me, the biggest thing was the magic, like the hex core, and this is like the beginning and the origin of magic of League of Legends. Like creating something that tonally sounded new and was the beginning, and it had to progress through the whole season.
You know, I took some time and recorded some wine glasses. So this is pitched up and then thrown through a tremolator. And then it's also thrown through a Doppler. And then Brad messing with a bunch of different synthesizers and like a chimey tonal thing with a choir. Kind of has both sounds intertwined into it.
So interesting.
And then like shimmer, like the whole shimmer thing.
The biggest player in the shimmer is actually, that's your voice.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if that's just how we talk?
Elliot! So just recording a ton of that stuff just kind of gave us this like weird palette of stuff to play with. You know, running it through an impulse response. It's taking that and then adding like a liquid kind of bubbly component to it, but
The one thing about Brad and I is we work together well. Like you create building blocks, as Riot likes to call it. Taking those building blocks and building on top of that, and building more and more on top of that, and going 6 or 7 steps beyond your first step, all of a sudden you've got something really cool.
And then putting on your sound editor cap, it's like taking all that cool stuff that you made, putting it up against picture, and making really hard decisions about what to keep, what to get rid of.
You still missing stuff on those swords hits? Those sword swipes?
Carving through it?
Yeah.
No. Are you?
I might play. What do we got, 3:30?
We have half an hour.
That was the initial design, which you kind of lose because it just sits in the register of the music. Any sound designer can create amazing sounds, but to create clarity and to tell the story that the director is trying to put together, you have to be able to pivot a lot. So like these are kind of fireworks I recorded. Getting that sizzle on stuff. Nice little trick that I do is this is basically just a volume graph. But what I like to do sometimes, instead of tremulating the sound, I'll draw it in like this, which I do a lot on creature vocals and stuff. But it basically gives you this. You see how it kind of cuts through a little bit?
It just blows me away. Like, they're like, hey, we need a sound for Savika's plasma blade, you know? And he's like, hold my beer.
Right now, I am at my parents' house in the north of Germany. This is one example of me thinking of the Arcane story. There were definitely moments of being pretty overwhelmed, for sure. I mean, speaking for myself, I'm the kind of person, I work actually well under stress, except for when you have so many stressful things that you feel like you lose oversight, if that makes sense. You know, animation over there, music over there, voice talent.
Yeah, lots of different things.
Profits have been plummeting.
I think what would be nice on, you know, profits have been plummeting to kind of to like have like those pop.
And you don't know if the scripts for less episodes are working, and the planning for season 2, and there definitely are those moments where you just feels like it just is too much, you know. I think that's why the burnout rate for, I think, showrunners is like 100% in general.
Knowing that the show is going out in November, really, I think it won't be real to me until it actually goes out into the world. And right now, the thing that keeps me up at night is trying to make sure that the next season doesn't disappoint. There's some other option, right? It's like die, or, you know, like accept some things being imperfect, you know, or something like that. That's kind of like the other path, right? That would be the way that they could go back to humanity.
Now I think we need to find a big structure. We feel we can simplify it.
The big hope, I guess, with this trip to Fortiche is to lock down the final episodes of season 2.
Which I haven't watched
the
yet.
end that I won't talk about very much is one that is complex.
What else do you want to remove?
You can remove also the...
There's one thing about the ending that is new. We're like, oh, that's sort of the same beat we had in 206. Okay, that was sort of the thing we were hinging this whole episode around, and now it's not there anymore, so let's just redo the whole thing.
Right.
This part, I think, is just a particularly hard part of stories. Getting from your middle to the, okay, on track, final run on the Death Star, you know, that kind of location.
It's so hard to wipe the slate clean on something.
I think I just need to step back. I need to like try and figure this episode out without thinking about all the things that we've talked about.
Imagine having to think about work in front of the Eiffel Tower.
But we also don't want the baby to go out, Alex. We don't want to murder this baby with our bathwater.
Is that suggesting that we are filling it with more bathwater right now?
A lot of bathwater.
We're not dumping out the bathwater, we're adding bathwater. The baby is steadily drowning.
I'm not sure what that means.
I'm circling the exact location of the problem, because when you say this is a little blurry or there is a bug here, sometimes it's difficult to just spot the right place and the right frame.
Wow, going into fix
As
like
you can
minor
see,
deals like
we
this.
can't see the shard behind the glass, but the glass is transparent, so we have to see it. So
I would never have
it's a
noticed
problem.
it.
Tu peux remonter en arrière, s'il te plaît, j'ai l'impression d'avoir vu un bug. Non, juste au moment où, un petit peu avant, on fait image par image.
Fortiche and Arnaud and Pascal, I really trust them.
Tu vois, regarde. Ah, il y a un trait. Il y a un trait. D'accord, ok. Non, je crois que c'est ça.
Their heart's in the right place, you know, like you just know that they're always gonna err on the side of quality and passion.
Son bras, il doit être allumé là, comme ça, avec le. Où il est. Non, il est éteint. Hein? Il est éteint. Il est censé être éteint. On peut toujours apporter quelque chose de plus. Et c'est ça qui est des fois un petit peu frustrant pour nous, parce qu'on est assez perfectionniste, c'est de se dire, bon, allez, là, on lâche le clavier. Des fois, c'est un peu dur, ouais. Ouais. It's the last shot of the last episode.
You locked the picture?
It's not totally luck.
It's never luck.
They're still editing it to this day.
Hey! Kind of wrapping up last minute tweaky.
Notes all make sense?
Yeah.
People always say, oh, when you work on something, you leave a piece of yourself. In this case, it's just like, it definitely took a chunk out of me. I think the best thing that I could somehow do and hopefully add some value is make stuff where we ask relevant questions and where we can show people different perspectives.
I am the monster you created.
Well, for Vi and for Jinx, the central question is, can you ever forgive a monster? How far are you willing to go for your sibling? Is there a line where you just can't go for your sibling and you just have to say, sorry, but this is where I have to leave you?
Well, I hope they're gonna stay reconciled.
Is that better? I don't know what you just took out. If there's anything that we can achieve with Arcane past just the sheer entertainment, if there's just some good questions to ask for all of us and find our own answers, man, that's, I think, the best thing Arcane could do.
What could have been?
Now we're done.
It must be a great feeling.
It's going to be the first media product in the history of the world to launch everywhere, including China, at the same time. And we got Netflix and Amazon to actually partner because we're live streaming it on Twitch and enabling our players to restream it. Like crazy shit you'd only do at Riot ever that no one's ever done before.
It is such a pleasure to welcome Alti and Christian Link to the premiere stage. How many things have you spent 6 years on one project for in your life? One single thing have you spent 6 years for before?
Marriage? There you go. I mean, it's been pretty crazy to realize that the day's finally come. You know, we've been working on this for a long time, and it's finally here.
6 years is a long time.
We certainly didn't expect anything on this caliber for the release of it, so it's very cool.
It's just, I think, really important to us that we create something that our audience can be proud of.
What?
We're putting on the suit jacket. Okay, I'm not putting on trousers though. That's where I draw the line. If I was somebody who was actually there, I would hate being followed by a robot. That being said, as the robot, I have no problems with putting somebody into a vaguely uncomfortable situation. That is, they have to talk to an iPad that is on a stick.
That's
I am 100%
crazy.
interrupting something here, haven't I?
I'm somebody on YouTube!
Wait, you actually know who the fuck I am?
I'm somebody on YouTube!
So I'm a huge fan of your stuff. I watch all your videos. I'm a huge fan of your stuff, believe it or not. I mean, the dream and the hope was always that League was the start of so much more. But, you know, fan expectations only go up, and they're high, so we hope to deliver.
I'm lucky. I've had a long association with Riot because I played Braum in League of Legends.
Wait, you're Braum?
I'm Braum.
Oh my god!
Hulk is the strongest master.
Oh
there it is. The responsibility of this is kind of scary because, I mean, look, it's like the anticipation from the fans, it's just, you can feel it. It's like
You could
tangible,
recognize his
even on the
voice straight
internet, you
away.
just feel it.
My agent sent me out for it, and I was like, oh, this is cool, you know, a black kid, he's a scientist, he's super sick, you know, and then when I got in, I was like, oh, this is a lot bigger than I thought.
I know.
Amazing job, by the way. Yeah.
I'm sure you've been to a lot of premieres. This is much different, right, than most?
It's a lot cooler than most, I gotta say. Okay,
Ryan's doing it right.
This is the production value. This is like so incredible.
Well, how do you approach this challenge?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the universal themes of hating someone you love and loving someone you hate is just very relatable.
Doing something like this, you never really know sort of what the end result is going to look like. But the team behind this is absolutely unbelievable. And from day one, I knew that I wanted to be involved. I just can't wait to see what the players and what fans think of the show. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've never been as proud of a job. Finally, now actually it's out, and anyone tonight across the world can turn on Netflix and watch it. That makes me really happy. It's a weird feeling.
Should be very special, yeah.
There are some people whose voices you can recognize, and I recognize him because he sounds like Viserys, but like as Victor, I don't recognize him as Victor when he's speaking. But then, and the same with Ella Fennell, she doesn't sound like Jinx when she's speaking. But then there's some of them that just sound like their character, like Vanda, Echo, and Vi.
I'm afraid to really see what the reactions are. I think I'm just gonna watch it, and then I'm just not gonna look online for as long as I can. We've poured like 6 years into this, you know? The idea of having just someone go, it was just like, I think it would just be brutal. All I can safely assume is that the league audience is gonna be unmerciful. Whichever way that goes, you know? If they love it, they will probably send me baskets of food. If they hate it, they will send me baskets of shit.
Episode 2, isn't it? Did they watch the first act completely? Yeah, they did.
When Christian sent me the first cut of the last 5 minutes of episode 3, I bawled. I like straight, like ugly cried. It was just, sorry, I didn't think about it.
She is not my sister anymore.
So many people work so hard trying to do justice to people's expectations, and they're doing it because of this love, you know, and sense of responsibility to not let players down. Just makes us incredibly proud to see, you know, the reactions and see those things actually happening.
We'll show them. We will show them all.
Super proud of the team. I'm super happy for Christian. And then all the people that helped make it happen, like hundreds of people worked on it to bring it together, not to mention the thousands of writers that built the IP that we were then able to translate into this. So the feeling that we really wanted people to have is that we handled that IP with care and love.
Love you, man. Oh, dude, I'm so happy with it, bro. How do you feel?
I haven't looked at my phone at all today, so I'm going on the assumption that everyone hates the show and we're canceled, and this is the last night of joy we're going to have in our lives.
You probably haven't seen any of the
reviews or anything?
No, I haven't touched my phone since I sat down. I don't want to see
You
them.
don't even want to. You're like.
But you're gonna be happy though.
Still watch it.
Act 1 review.
That's cool.
Netflix. Dude, I'm so proud of you, man.
Well.
My expectations were like, it's gonna be good. But after the finale, what a fool I was. It was so brilliant.
Today we're taking a look at the new Netflix show Arcane, and I want to just start by saying it slaps.
Oh wow, that's lit.
Sorry. I don't know, I'm so overwhelmed.
Yeah, after all the work they put in, it must be really overwhelming.
I'm so proud of what this team, like the excellence so exceeded my expectations, and I know very well how ridiculous this climb was.
I literally said to him, I remember I said to him, if it goes down, we'll go down with the ship. I literally said, you can have my job. Like,
Merci à Christian pour la confiance. The trust, you know, the trust of Christian in Fortiche. At the very beginning of Fortiche. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, everybody. Et maintenant que la soirée commence!
Part of me is thinking like all the people saying how little faith they had is kind of rude.
Il y a beaucoup de gens qui étaient investis dessus et je pense que ce qui a fait aussi la force et la qualité d'Arcane, c'est que tout le monde était très passionné, a toujours été très très motivé, quoi.
Je pense qu'il y avait cette idée un peu de se dépasser, de ne pas rester sur ses acquis et de prendre des risques quelque part. Et je pense que ça, c'était payant, hein, aussi.
I was at dinner recently with the directors of Fortiche, and they said they're very happy right now because when they got into this industry, they really wanted to create something to be history of the animation world. And they were smiling and they were saying, it's such a relief that after 6 years now, they feel like they know they worked on something that is part of animation history. Doesn't matter if the project is like a wild success or it's doing fine or you know, worse than that. If anything, we've crafted something that pushes the animation world forward by a significant margin.
Definitely.
It's nice getting above it all, huh?
The fact that we can spend 5 hours in just Piltover and Zon and then do it again in a second season before we start to zoom out of this one little corner of the world and this handful of characters. Just the possibility space is so wild. You know, Alex made a comment to me last night. He's like, I could see myself telling stories in this universe for the next 30 years.
It's a small miracle that this TV show got made, and it's a smaller miracle that so many god-tier artists came together to work on one project, and you can't not be proud of what they did. So, yeah.
The other
Very
blessing
amazing.
and a curse for me and Alex is like we're never satisfied and we always want it to be better. So no matter how much you think you might know about what's coming in season 2, there's always going to be tons of new stuff to discover. I think people are going to be really excited about what they find.
The reason why I joined Riot is because I liked playing the game. I loved it. I think when Alex and I were starting to talk about making something like Arcane, we just thought that this should exist because we want to watch it. We love these characters. We love these worlds. I think maybe my favorite thing above all of Arcane is that I am very confident in saying that there's many people who work on Arcane right now that feel like they're working on the most important thing of their lives, like their careers. I feel like people feel like they're challenged, they're working on something that's gonna matter, they're gonna look back to and say, yes, like that's a proud moment of my life and I'm happy I worked on it. And that to me is probably the most important thing.
Fair enough. Great job. Wow. Okay, alright, so that was Arcane Breaching the Rift, and it told us a lot about everything going on behind the scenes, and it blew me away with just how much is actually going on. So hundreds and hundreds of different artists, and as he said, like god tier artists. Like he's got really amazing talented musicians, songwriters, you got the sound mixers, the animators themselves. They're working in France at Fortiche, they're working in LA for the music. Lots of different things going on in different places. You've got the voice actors, you've got the directors, the writers, and you've got the people at Riot who actually had to fund this. They weren't convinced at first, but then they were eventually convinced. This all in all took them 6 years, which is crazy. And obviously animation is a very slow process because there's just so much that goes into like every frame and every scene. And that's why there's so much detail in Arcane, and it's very hard as a reactor to like make predictions when you're watching it for the first time and like notice everything, because there's absolutely so much much packed into every scene. And yeah, as somebody who has never played League of Legends and didn't know anything going in, completely blind, it was a very enjoyable show, and it has been so far. I just haven't finished the last 3 episodes. However, I can also understand that people who do play League would be very happy with all the things, you know, they love in the game, like coming to life. I mean, I assume that that's how most League players feel. I mean, I think it's a really amazing show that really brings humanity to all the characters. So it seems to me from the outside that it's been very, very successful. I obviously haven't finished season 2, but I think season 2 has been amazing so far as well. The production is just insane watching this. Everything. And I just can't like fathom how they keep all the threads together with everything that needs to go on, and how they keep sight of the bigger picture with every small detail, even till the last second they were editing things. Editing sound, editing, you know, different mistakes, but they weren't even like big mistakes, they were like tiny mistakes that like nobody watching it is pausing it every 1 frame. I mean, I don't think they are. For the most part, people just watch it and maybe pause like 10 times. I feel like I pause like maybe under 10 times each episode. I'm not gonna notice things like that. If I was pausing more, it would take me hours and hours and hours to film. And then people who aren't doing reactions, then usually just watching it on the TV, you only pause it if you're like leaving the room. So like most people do not notice these things. They do not notice these mistakes. And like, yeah, I mean, with sound, I think that's really important, because sometimes it can feel off if the sound is like bad, but the animation was insane. I think they were just I think there was too much perfectionism there at the end. Because it was already great. So much work has gone into the show. They didn't give me really any hints for the finale, apart from they were saying something about, you know, how they can retake their humanity or build this new structure or whatever. It has really already kind of been shown to us that people have gone too far and things. People have lost their humanity, and pretty much every character in the show has taken it a step too far and needs to, you know, rebuild. Like Jace and Victor with Hex Tech, Caitlyn and Jinx with their respective revenge and violence, and Vi as well with the kind of things she does to cope this season, and all the stuff going on. I think yeah, everyone's definitely changed a lot and lost their humanity in some aspects, so definitely understand that. But I'm very curious as to what happens in the finale. There was no hint of it. Just that it is something they've changed quite a lot. Same as season 1, they'd go back and rewrite things, redo it. It needs to be perfect. It needs to like fit, so they go back and they do it again. I don't know how they have the patience, and they must have been very, very stressed, high cortisol for 6 years. Crazy. Yeah, this has just made me so much more excited for season 2. I will be doing more behind the scenes and like lore videos after I finish Arcane. If you guys are interested in that kind of thing, you can stick around. will be very interested in learning more. If you have any recommendations, feel free to give them to me. Obviously, once I've finished all the lore videos in Arcane, I need to move on to a different show. I've already got a show to replace The Last Kingdom, decided. I don't have a show ready to replace Arcane. After I finish House of Dragon, I think I'm just going to stick with 2 shows. So I'm going to do Vikings, and then something needs to replace Arcane. So definitely open to suggestions and everything on both YouTube and Patreon. I'll probably give it a month before I decide what, because it's going to take a while to get everything out and all the content out. But just early now, if anyone starts thinking about recommendations, feel free to let me know. And as for any Arcane information, more videos about the world, also let me know. Thank you guys for watching along with me. We finished Bridging the Rift. We still have yet to finish Arcane. Make sure to stick around for all that. I will see you guys in the next Arcane video. Bye guys.